Hello and welcome to another Marty's Matchbox Makeovers video. Today I'm going to be doing a tractor. It's a John Deere tractor made in 1964. It's a number 50B. Now I've had plenty of Deere Johns in my time, but this is the first time I've had a John Deere. So I'm now giving it the once over to see what needs to be done. Fair bit of paint loss all over, general chipping. 2 tyres missing on the right hand side, and the steering wheel is missing, which is going to cause me a little bit of a problem because I haven't been able to find one anywhere. So I don't know how I'm going to fix that, but we'll get there somehow. The front of this should have been originally painted silver, but here it just looks like it's the base metal. Not only am I doing the tractor, but I'm also doing the trailer. This is number 51B. Now the previous owner, for whatever reason, has cut the axle here, looks like with a hacksaw. Now this wasn't me, this was genuinely whoever had it before me did that. So I won't be able to reuse that axle, I'll have to remove it and make a new one. It's got a nice tipping action, this body. So luckily these axles are over length slightly, so I can just remove this flange on the end to get the wheels off, and then hopefully I'll have enough metal left to reuse them. So I'll be taking both the front and the rear axles out. I should be using my Dremel like I normally do. I was having problems with this one however, because normally the axles are straight. This axle was a little bit bent, and instead of spinning and wearing down evenly all over, it was sort of locking up and causing me all sorts of dramas. Still, it worked eventually. So that's the back wheels, I think. Yeah, now the front ones. And these are a lot easier because the axle wasn't bent. Now for the trailer axle, I'm just cutting it with some wire cutters because it's half cut through anyway. Take off the wheels. Got to get some tyres as well, of course. Now this is after I've paint stripped it. I gave it 2 lots of paint stripper, but there's still little tiny scraps of paint left on there. It's a very complicated casting here with a lot of right angles in it, so I bought myself a dental set, and I'm going to use them now for the first time to try and remove some of these leftover little bits of paint. And I must say I'm very impressed, so thank you to my subscriber, whoever it was that recommended that I get a dental set, because you know what, there's no going back now. I think I'm going to be using this for every model. Here's a view of them stripped. If you can see on the tractor bonnet there's a seam which I didn't like, so I took that out with a fine file and some emery paper. Maybe went a little bit heavy with the file, but I'm hoping the undercoat and top coat will cover that up. Today, for the first time, I'm using Tamiya Surface Primer. This was recommended to me by a fellow modeler, so I'm giving it a go. It's quite expensive. I usually go for the budget brands, but we'll see what this turns out like. Let's say it goes on very smoothly, blemish free. Here's a novel idea I had. I use these magnetic paintbrush holders for holding the forceps when the paint's drying. See, it's quite handy, that. So get yourself some of those. Now look at the detail on this model. They are fantastic as always. You've got John Deere written on there, 700. Engine components, radiator. In there looks like a battery, starter motor, fuel filter, who knows, water reservoir. A lot of detail packed in there. And on the top, on the front, I guess it's a radiator cap. There's a fuel filler cap. And even checker plate where the driver stands. Not much to say about the trailer. It's just a very robust design, I guess, with a lot of support there. And it should come up good. For this one I'm using some Enamel Paint, number 61 from Revel. It's a beautiful green. I call it BP green. I actually bought it to do this BP auto tanker, which will be coming up soon. And I think it's an exact match for the green that this tractor and trailer should be. So mixing it 50-50 with the mineral terps, I'm going to give it a shot. Lovely spray there, lovely even spray. goes on quite nicely. I just keep going till I kind of instinctively think that's enough, and there you go. Put that up there to dry on my little magnet. Should have given you a different camera view just to make it more interesting. Oh, there we go. I want another one. Oh, I'm getting spoilt today. There's a close-up. Very nice green, very nice quality enamel paint. Now to address the wheels. They're quite grubby, so I'm going to give them a clean up. Just showing you that this is an original tyre. It's very flexible. I bought 2 replica ones and they're very rigid. These are originals I got off of other vehicles that I had. My little scrap section of cars. So I've got the tyres. Now, Bare Metal HW guy, he did a combine harvester in one of his last videos, and he used some rubber grommets. Well, it gave me an idea that maybe I could use some rubber washers for these tyres, but unfortunately these ones are a little bit tight. So, and it ends up making them, looks like the Flintstone square wheels there. So they're no good. So I had another look around in the garage and I found I had a box of these roofing nails left over. And this seal is slightly larger, and it's actually a fantastic size as an emergency replacement tyre for any Matchbox cars you've got at home. Look at that. It's almost perfect. So there's a tip for you in the future. So thanks Bare Metal for giving me the idea. Now as a close-up of the replica tyres that I bought online, you can actually see they've got Lesney and England embossed in them. So a nice bit of detail there. Strangely enough, the original one, I looked at it and it has nothing written on it. So maybe there's 2 different types of tyres, I don't know. So I'm just popping these in some warm water with some washing up liquid in it. And give them a bit of a clean. Remember, I'm trying to make this thing look factory fresh, so everything has to be addressed. Now they're a little bit grotty in the middle there, so I'm going to use a little bit of emery paper and just scuff off the dirt and give it a wash and dry. And look at that, it looks brand new. And to show you I'm not cheating, that's the other side. Now to get the replica tyres on, they're very, very hard plastic, and I struggled trying to get them on, but I gave up in the end, so I thought I'd better dunk them in some boiling water and see if that helps. And lo and behold, it did. They went on lovely. So there's another tip for you. Use some boiling water if you've got hard plastic components that are difficult to assemble. And there's the finished product. Now, the steering wheel. There's only one thing I could do for the steering wheel, and that was make my own. So using my 3D printer, I started making up a 3D model using pictures on the internet as inspiration and to try and get the size correct. That little yellow bit you saw there was the only bit of the steering wheel I had. Here's a set of 4, and I'm printing them at 205 degrees C. Here's a shot, speeded up 2,000 times I think. So to print these steering wheels actually takes 11 minutes in real time. I had a lot of fails. I was printing them individually and they were falling over because the plastic I think was too soft whilst it was building up the layers. So I changed to a 4 at a time format, and what happened was it gave each steering wheel time to set before the nozzle came around to print another level. And it worked quite well. The stranding here, I've got to address that. There's a setting where it can withdraw the polymer back into the nozzle, and you can set that to try and reduce stringing. So I was stuck with this until I experimented further, but it's not an issue really. It's just a little bit time consuming cutting all the strings off with a little craft knife. They're a bit fiddly. And the steering wheel shaft as well, clean that up. So this wasn't bad. Well, this was about my 20th attempt. That was another thing. They're so slippery, these little plastic things. I kept dropping them on the floor. It was really starting to annoy me after a while there. I spent all the afternoon on my hands and knees crawling around picking things up. There's a little burr on the side there. I think that's where the first level finished, and then it lifted up to the next level. It left a little dollop of yellow plastic there. Filament, that's what they call it. PLA filament. So here's the finished product. Okay, at this magnification it's not perfect, but you know what? It makes a damn good replacement. And after that, I thought, well, let's have a go at making the barrels for the trailer, because that trailer's supposed to come with 3 barrels. This is my first attempt. It had holes in the side. So once again, I went to a multiple print format. There's a picture on my monitor as a guide to try and get the scale correct, and there's some barrels there that failed. Well, they didn't fail so much as they weren't perfect. Again, another speeded up shot of printing of the barrels. The yellow filament I had, there was only one yellow. I'm not 100% sure it's the exact colour that Matchbox chose, but I think if you haven't got an original one to compare it with, then it's not a problem, because they actually turned out quite good, as you'll see in a minute. This filament's quite cheap too. It's only $16 Australian for a roll, and it just lasts for ages. So here's my collection of barrels. When I got the format right, I printed off a whole load of them. They've just got a strand in the middle that has to be cut out with a sharp knife, but all in all, they're not too bad. So here's all the bits ready to go back together. I've just got to make that axle for the trailer. So to do that, I use a nail, a bullet-headed nail, as you might have seen in some of my other videos. You've got to be careful when you're using power tools, because stuff like that happens. The nail just flew off and disappeared. And you never know where they're going to end up, flying around the shed. Oh, I remember that now, that hurt. This is phase 1 finished. Now phase 2 is running it over the file here in the chuck of a drill, just to take that sharp edge off and make it look more like a hubcap end, like that. Now stick it through. You can see it's perfect diameter, and I've just got to cut it to length and squish the end over using my drill press method. Some people have asked me, what does the drill press dolly at the top look like? So I was messing around with the 3D drawing software, so I made up this to try and show you it's got a concave end, which I made just simply by center punching the center of it and drilling it out to the correct depth. And these are the back wheels that I reformed with the original axles, so that was good news. There you go, I'm doing the front now. Beautiful job, I love it. Good tipping action on that. That friction blocks back in and it's working perfectly. This is exciting part, putting in the steering wheel for the first time. Look at that. Just press it home in the middle there. If you press on the whole thing, you run the risk of breaking the spokes in the middle there. And there we go, look at this. Only one thing to do now, just paint a few features with the silver ink pen. Speed it up for you, because it can be a little bit tedious watching it in real time. So I do the grille, the headlights, and probably not what was on the original. I do the fuel filler cap and the radiator cap, just to give a little bit of I don't know, interest, add a little bit more interest to the model. Dab a little bit on the hubcaps there just to make them nice and bright. Here is a shot of what we started with. It wasn't too pretty. And now for the final reveal. This is it finished now with the nice new green paint. Put a little bit of spray varnish on the wheels too, just to make them look like new. For something different, for the final photos, I've got this little model guy and I painted him up to look like a farmer. And the barrels look quite good too in the back there. So if anyone wants a steering wheel or some barrels, please email me because I've got plenty of them. I'll let you have them for a couple of bucks plus postage. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.